What's up, party gang? Now take a second, pause whatever you're doing, and really lock in, because what went down in Atlanta on night one of Cardi B's Little Miss Drama tour wasn't just another tour stop. This was one of those nights people are going to be talking about long after the tour is over. If you weren't inside State Farm Arena on Friday night, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. You missed a moment in hip-hop history. We're talking about a night where everything aligned perfectly. The energy, the crowd, the anticipation, and most importantly, that undeniable feeling that something big was about to happen. But to really understand how crazy this night was, we've got to start outside the arena, because Atlanta didn't wait for the show to begin. Atlanta started the show hours before the doors even opened. The streets surrounding State Farm Arena were completely flooded. Not just crowded. Fans had been lined up since early morning. Not tired, not restless, but energized. It didn't feel like people were waiting for a concert. It felt like they were preparing for an event. A moment. Something bigger than music and fashion. And Atlanta showed out, no surprise there. Custom Little Miss Drama outfits were everywhere. Bedazzled cowboy hats catching the sunlight. Sheer looks inspired directly by Cardi's tour wardrobe. Every single person looked like they had something to prove. Because in Atlanta, you don't just attend a show, you show up. The line stretched around the block like a parade. People were laughing, dancing, recording content. Strangers were turning into friends off nothing but shared excitement. And what made it even more special were the conversations. Fans weren't just standing there quietly, they were fully engaged, quoting Cardi like gospel. You had one group yelling, "A never gets cold," while standing in outfits that clearly proved that point. Another fan, calm but confident, said, "I'm my own competition, I'm competing with myself." And the people around her? They felt that. But then there was one moment, one fan holding a sign that read, "I'm the Hood Mona Lisa." And just like that, the crowd around her started chanting it louder and louder, until it turned into a full-on chorus. That right there, that wasn't just a quote. That was identity. That was culture. That was the gang in its purest form.
Favorite Cardi B quote is, "If you beef with me, we beef forever."
That's weird. That's suspicious.
Ew.
Hello, I'm Cardi B. I'm from the Bronx.
I love me some Cardi B. Oh, that's weird. That's suspicious.
Knock me down 9 times, but I still get up 10. If you got beef with me, you gonna have beef with me forever. It is getting real. It's getting real. COVID-19 is getting real. Oh, she gonna have beef with me forever.
Now, as the sun began to dip below the Atlanta skyline, something in the atmosphere shifted. The playful, almost festival-like energy that had been buzzing outside State Farm Arena all day started to transform into something sharper, something heavier. Anticipation. Real anticipation. The kind that sits in your chest and makes every second feel longer than it actually is. People weren't just excited anymore, they were locked in. Everyone knew the moment was close. Then finally, it happened. The doors opened. And just like that, the floodgates released. The crowd surged forward, not in chaos, but in a unified rush of excitement. People moved quickly, scanning tickets, finding sections, climbing stairs, all with one shared goal. Get inside, get settled, and be ready. Within minutes, the arena began to fill. Row by row, seat by seat, the energy condensed into one massive, electric space. The lights dimmed just enough. Not fully dark, but low enough to signal that something was about to begin. Conversations softened. Movement slowed. Eyes turned toward the stage. And in that exact moment, something changed. The noise dropped. Not into complete silence, but into a controlled hush. Just enough for the tension to become visible, almost tangible. You could feel it in the air, thick and charged. 20,000 people, all holding their breath without even realizing it. And then, boom, the lights cut completely. The bass hit like a shockwave, vibrating through the floor, through the seats, through every person in that building. The arena erupted instantly, screams, cheers, pure chaos. And rising above that explosion of energy was a scene that felt straight out of a movie. Cardi B, not walking onto the stage, not running out. Suspended in the air on a massive floating structure, descending like a superstar entering her own cinematic universe. It wasn't just an entrance. It was a statement. She didn't waste a second. As soon as she touched down, she launched straight into the intro, flowing seamlessly into Hello. And from that very first moment, it was clear. This wasn't going to be a regular performance. This wasn't going to be one of those shows where the energy builds slowly. No. She came in at full force. Her presence was immediate, explosive, completely commanding. Every movement was sharp, every lyric delivered with precision, every beat hit exactly where it needed to land. There was no hesitation, no warming up. She was already in control, and the crowd knew it. And what made it even more intense? She didn't slow down. Not once. Track after track, moment after moment, she kept the energy at a level most artists struggle to reach even briefly. It was relentless, but in the best way possible. The kind of performance that doesn't give you time to breathe, because the second you think it might ease up, it hits you even harder. Throughout the night, she moved through 6 different custom looks, each one more detailed, more intentional, and more striking than the last. Every outfit felt like its own statement, its own chapter in the story she was telling on that stage. But there was one in particular that sent the entire front row into absolute chaos. A red and black sheer piece that immediately had phones shooting into the air. People weren't just recording. They were trying to capture something they knew they might not fully process in real time. Because in that moment, it didn't even feel real. You weren't just watching a performance. You were witnessing dominance, presence, control. And the wildest part? That was only the beginning. Because just when it felt like the night had already reached a peak, everything shifted again. Not louder, not faster, but elevated. If you know anything about Cardi, you already understand. She doesn't just come to rap. She comes to serve. And right in the middle of the set, she created one of those moments that artists dream about but rarely execute perfectly. The lights softened. The intensity dipped just slightly, not enough to lose the crowd, but enough to pull them in closer. It created suspense, almost like the calm before something bigger. And without even realizing it, the entire arena leaned in. Then she stepped back into the spotlight. And this time it was something completely different. A custom piece made specifically for Atlanta. This wasn't just another outfit change. It was a statement tailored for that city. A shimmering, sculptural metallic dress that caught every beam of light in the arena. Lasers, strobes, camera flashes. Everything reflected off it in a way that made it feel alive. From every angle, it looked different. From every movement, it told a story. As she eased into the smooth, melodic vibe of Please Me, the entire atmosphere transformed. The crowd swayed. Voices softened. Phones lifted, but more gently this time. It became less about hype and more about feeling. And that dress, it didn't just shine. It flowed. Almost like liquid. Like mercury under stage lights. Shifting and bending with every movement she made. But then, right when the crowd settled into that wave, the beat dropped. I like it. And everything flipped.
Come sing some blues to me. Maybe I need somebody to come sing some blues to you.
The stage exploded into color. Tropical patterns flooded the screens. Lights burst in every direction. The entire arena transformed into a full-blown carnival. It was sudden, intense, and completely intentional. And Cardi? She switched gears instantly. Energy back to 1,000. Movements sharper. Presence louder. That metallic look, already powerful, now became something even bigger under the flashing lights. Almost peacock-inspired. Bold. Radiant. Impossible to ignore. And the way that outfit caught every flash while she hit her choreography? That wasn't just a performance moment. That was viral gold. The kind of moment every city hopes to get right. The kind that separates a good crowd from a legendary one. And then came the challenge. The moment everyone had been waiting for. The pretty and petty mute challenge. By this point, other cities had already tried it. Some had done well. Others, not so much. But Atlanta? Atlanta came with something to prove. As the track played, the crowd was loud, almost uncontrollable. The energy was electric, bouncing from section to section. People were screaming, jumping, fully immersed in the moment. And then, the music cut. Cardi paused. She looked out into the crowd, listening, waiting. And just like that, silence. Not partial silence. Not almost quiet. Complete silence. 20,000 people, perfectly still, perfectly quiet. And that kind of silence? It's loud in its own way, because it shows control, discipline, connection. For those few seconds, Atlanta didn't just participate. They owned that moment. Then, boom, the beat dropped back in. And the arena exploded all over again. Screaming, jumping, pure caos. At that point, it was undeniable. Atlanta didn't just show up. They dominated. But even after all of that, Cardi wasn't done. Because this is where the night became something bigger than a concert. It became a celebration of Atlanta itself. Up until now, everything had felt precise, planned, calculated. But then she paused again, smiled, and looked out into the crowd with a certain kind of expression. The kind that lets you know something unexpected is about to happen. She spoke. Maybe I need somebody to come sing a blues for me. Maybe I need somebody to come sing a blues for you. And instantly the crowd reacted. Because they knew. Something was coming. The lights shifted. The music changed. And then walking onto that stage. Mariah the scientist. The reaction was immediate. Loud. Emotional. Because this wasn't just a guest appearance. This was a connection. Voices filled the arena as people sang along, feeling every note. But just when it felt like that moment had fully landed, another shift. A heavier bass crept in. That unmistakable Atlanta sound. And then, Jeezy, the snowman himself. And now the energy reached another level entirely. Because this wasn't just hype. This was legacy. This was history. That raw Atlanta trap energy that built the culture. And still, it didn't stop. Because moments later, another figure stepped onto that stage. T.I., the king of the South. And that wasn't just a surprise. That was a statement. A full circle moment. A cosign. A celebration of everything Atlanta represents in hip-hop. At that point, this wasn't a tour stop anymore. This was a city celebrating itself. But somehow, even after all of that, the night still had more. Because while the stage was delivering unforgettable moments, there was a whole second show happening inside the building. The VIP sections looked like a red carpet. Everywhere you looked, there were familiar faces, celebrities, influencers, industry figures, all there for one reason: to witness what was happening. Some were locked in, vibing like regular fans. Others were taking it all in, knowing they were watching something special. And then there were moments in the crowd that stood out just as much as anything on stage. Fans fully engaged, singing every lyric, matching energy bar for bar. It blurred the line between performer and audience. And as the night continued, Cardi kept delivering hit after hit. Bodak Yellow. Up, back to back, each one hitting harder than the last. But then, she slowed it down. And this part hit differently. The lights softened again. The noise settled. The energy shifted. And you could tell. This wasn't about performance anymore. This was personal. She looked out into the crowd, took a breath, and started reflecting. Talking about her journey, from the Bronx to this exact moment. Her first real arena run. Selling out cities night after night. And you could hear it in her voice. Ride. Gratitude. A little disbelief. Then she said something simple, but powerful. Don't let nobody take your happiness away. And in that moment, it wasn't a superstar speaking. It was a person. And Atlanta felt it. You could see it. People nodding, phones lowering, just taking it in. Because that right there? That's what separates a show from a moment. What happened in Atlanta on night one was bigger than music. It was culture. It was energy. It was connection. A full experience that reminded everyone why this tour is dominating the way it is. And the craziest part? This was only night one.
Tell you Cardi B did tonight, but night one in Atlanta, I done been to a lot of concerts in the last year. And if you follow my page, you know I go to a lot of concerts. But Cardi B, hands down, best concert I've ever been to. Everything was 1,000 out of 10. From production, to performance, to the outfits. Everything was perfect. Cardi B, you did your thing tonight, girl. I wish I could go tonight too. And then we had so many surprise guests be brought out tonight. We had YK Nice, Billy Gang Cushington. We had Mariah the Scientist, Young Jeezy. And we got the King, T.I. When I tell you this was the best night I done had, Cardi B, I gotta give you your flowers, girl. I'm just so happy for you to see how successful your tour was in real time. When I tell you she had State Farm Arena packed out to the rim, honey, that show was super sold out. But like I said, Cardi B, you did your thing. Best concert I done been to. I'm telling you, I'm like on cloud 9 because I love Cardi B. And I'm so glad I was able to attend her concert.
Y'all, so last night was night one in Atlanta for Cardi B's Little Miss Drama Tour. And when I say that the special guest that she had, not only did she bring Mariah the Scientist, not only did she bring Jeezy, she brought T.I., King of the motherfucking South, okay? And a lot of people was in my comments saying that she was going to bring him